What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fann of showmefootball.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. He's Michael D'Arcy of KC Sports Report. Are we ever going to see a Trey Smith extension from the Kansas City Chiefs? We're going to discuss that right after this. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, I've brought in my friend Michael D'Arcy today to tackle this topic with me because, you know, Michael, we're in the middle of the offseason. There's not too much to talk about right now, but there is something that we need to talk about because this is another thing that I think has just kind of gotten swept under the rug. The Kansas City Chiefs placed the franchise tag on Trey Smith earlier this offseason, and the full expectation was that we were going to see an extension. That has not happened yet. And in typical Brett Veach fashion, he has dragged this out. Dilly-dally told us they love Trey Smith. They're going to extend him. And now we're here getting pretty close to the season now, and we have seen no Trey Smith extension. Now, Michael, you've kind of talked about this before with a plethora of other players where Brett Veach kicks the can down the road, and then he never picks it up. So what are your feelings right now on this? Are we going to see a Trey Smith extension?
If we do see an extension, I don't think it's going to happen this offseason. And you kind of mentioned it. The Chiefs have, for the longest time, kicked the can down on players. You know, the perfect example of this is Orlando Brown, who they, said they were going to extend. They franchise tag, or they didn't franchise. Did they franchise tag him?
Orlando Brown, yes, they did.
And did he play under the tag, or they just trade him?
He played under the tag.
And then he hit the open market, and then he signed with the Bengals. That one always kind of confuses me. But they also kind of kicked the can down the road on Chris Jones, and they didn't pick it up until he sat out week 1. So it's like the Chiefs are no stranger to not paying guys. And I don't know if Trey Smith is going to be one of the guys that they pay. But even if he's not, you're giving Trey Smith $23 million to play right guard for you in 2025. Like, that's not great roster building. Like, Trey Smith's great, but $23 million? Not sure about that.
No, I'm right there with you on that. I was screaming this from the mountaintops before the all season, before they franchise tagged him. I said, I don't want to pay a right guard $23 million per year. I just don't like that. I don't think that's good roster construction. And I had a lot of people arguing with me on that, but I just think like guards that's one of those positions where it's like you can find a contributor relatively easily. The Chiefs were taking Kingsley Suamataia, a failed left tackle, and moving him to left guard just like that. Now we still have to see what happens there, but I mean, like, the Chiefs are showing a willingness there to like kind of compromise, and they traded off Joe Thuney in order to do that. And then I also think about another example with Nick Allegretti, where he was a 6th, 7th round pick, late day 3, started some games for you. You won a Super Bowl with him starting at left guard. He was good. He's a good player. Now he's starting for the Washington Commanders, and they went to the NFC Championship game last season with him headlining that offensive line. So I've never been a huge fan of paying players. That said, if you were going to franchise tag Trey Smith, then sure, extend him. You've already franchise tagged him. You're already using up all that money, because the thing is, like, these balloon contracts that come with the franchise tag, that's $23 million guaranteed for this year. That's $23 million off the cap going towards Trey Smith. It's a lot of money. The Chiefs could have had more money to play with in free agency had they actually extended Trey Smith before free agency. But for some reason, the Chiefs love carrying that franchise tag into free agency, which I just don't understand. But yeah, man, the thing with Trey Smith is I just kind of wonder if this is another one where they say, hey, we're going to kind of use that franchise tag almost like a pseudo 5th-year option. And this is our 5th year of Trey Smith. And after that, we're done.
Well, one thing that I actually just thought about while you were talking is it's almost like the franchise tag is kind of like the kiss of death from the Chiefs. Like, if the Chiefs franchise tag you, you're almost like gone. Like, they did it with Orlando Brown Jr. They did it with L'Jarius Sneed. They did it with a lot of players that are no longer playing here. Mm-hmm. And you got to think, if you're Trey Smith, oh man, I'd be pissed if I was Trey Smith, because it was a really bad guard market in free agency this year. He might have got $25 million a season. Yeah. Like, he might have gotten a lot of money.
he was going to be like the top free agent out there. I mean, forget, the guard market, just the free agency market in general. There weren't really a lot of players to pay top dollar, but Trey Smith would have been one of them. He was like the gem of this free agency class before the Chiefs franchise tagged him. But yeah, no, the franchise tag is a little bit of like this kiss of death from the Kansas City Chiefs. If you get that, like, your days are numbered. Chris Jones has been the only exception really so far. D Ford really is another one. That was early in the Brett Veach days. They franchise tagged him and traded him. But Chris Jones was like the only one really. And even him, like, it took a year of the franchise tag that failed. They redid the contract for 1 year. And then it took up until like the 11th hour before free agency for him to even get that contract finally. And that was for Chris freaking Jones. So, man, I'm fascinated by this Trey Smith situation. I'm surprised we haven't seen a resolution to it yet. But the closer we inch towards the season and he still has not gotten a new deal, the more I think, okay, this is it. It's one more year of Trey Smith, then they're going to let him go. And that's that. And whether that's a trade or he leaves in free agency, I just think that's kind of what it's going to be headed towards.
Which at this point, you better trade him. You got to get something for him, especially if he goes out this year and plays well. Franchise tag him again, trade him. But even then, he's a year older. And so what are you going to get?
Yeah, like I feel like the time would have been to trade him would have been this offseason when he is a year younger, when that free agency class was so bad that I think he would have had a lot of teams, vying for his services, fighting over him, a little bit of a bidding war. I think you could have probably gotten a second round pick, maybe a third round pick for Trey Smith next year, maybe get a fourth. Now the thing is, though, as well, with Trey Smith, if they are to play out this season, franchise tag him again, that would tell me that is their plan. And so with that, I also wanted to say that because you were talking about how he was going to walk past this deal. Sorry, I know I'm jumbling my words here. If he's to walk past this deal, right, and we play this season, he leaves in free agency, and they get that one more year out of him, I wonder if the plan this offseason was, okay, we really like Trey Smith, and between him and Joe Thuney, we have to get rid of one of these guys. We don't want to pay that much money. They got rid of the older player that maybe is on the decline, right, as opposed to Trey Smith.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. But they also wanted to keep some stability. Like, you didn't want a situation where it was Kingsley at left guard and Y.A. Morris at right guard and Jalen Moore at left tackle.
At left tackle.
Yeah, like that would have been way too much uncertainty. And so I guess I can kind of understand that. And it would just be really cool to be like a fly on the wall in that Chiefs front office while they're having these discussions. Because I almost wonder if that's what the plan was to get rid of one of those guys and franchise tag Trey Smith. And even though we're not big fans of the franchise tag or this sequence of the Chiefs franchise tagging a player and seeming like they don't actually know what they want to do with them, maybe that's just because they wanted to keep at least some stability on this offensive line for next year.
Yeah, Josh, I really don't know. Like, and that's the thing. Like, for the most part, I try to think outside the box and think, okay, like, the Chiefs, or I try to rationalize it. Like, okay, the Chiefs trading Joe Thuney, they saw him getting older. They thought to themselves, we can get an asset for this. We don't want to pay him because he also just got extended by the Bears. So, like, he's probably wanting a new deal. And so they kind of, got rid of him a year early. It almost seems like the Chiefs are really good at that with some players, but not for others. Like, this would have been the ideal time to get rid of Trey Smith. And that's hard because he has played at a Pro Bowl, all-pro level. But at the same time, the Chiefs cannot be in the game of paying someone who, has never been an all-pro money. And that is a lot of money in a right guard when you've got just as many questions on the guy on the right side of him, Jawan Taylor, and on the left side in either Jalen Moore or Josh Simmons. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and paying a right guard just doesn't seem like the solution to any of the issues.
Yeah, and you have a lot of big contracts coming up, really. George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie. There's going to be some guys to pay on this team. Rashee Rice is coming up. I mean, that one's been really fast. But I think that's probably a guy you're going to want to keep around here because he was looking to have probably an all-pro season before he got hurt last year. And I just don't think it's great, money management, roster construction to pay that much money to a right guard which you mentioned, has not even been an All-Pro before. And I don't want to make it seem like Trey Smith's a bad player, because he's certainly not. But there's maybe some bigger fish to fry there. Now, Michael, I have one more really important question for you. But before I ask that question, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors on this channel, Penalty Verdict. They're coming out with an app next football season that you guys are going to want to have. Let's check it out.
Whether you're sick of seeing your team constantly get screwed over by the refs, tired of hearing about how your team only wins because of the refs, or simply just desire fair play and accountability, then Penalty Verdict is the perfect app for you. Penalty Verdict is a new app that allows football fans to vote on penalty calls in real time on both NFL and college football games. With Penalty Verdict, you'll be able to engage with a community of football fans who desire accuracy and transparency in officiating. And not only does Penalty Verdict allow you to vote on and discuss penalties in real time, but you'll also have access to data and statistics on specific referees. And you can even see what your favorite team's win-loss record is with that referee heading the crew. You can use this information to make educated guesses on who's going to win each game, and earn even more XP, which can be used to place wagers and climb up leaderboards on Penalty Verdict. Unlock the next dimension of sports by engaging with real-time polling of referees, players, and teams. And lastly, view data-driven insights to have informed discussions about the games. While Penalty Verdict is still in the development phase, we would love to hear your guys' feedback on what features you want to see in the app for next football season. Invite your friends to join and share Penalty Verdict today, and follow Penalty Verdict on social media.
So yeah, guys, that is Penalty Verdict. The link is down in the description below to get on the wait list for that. Definitely want to see you on there next season, climbing up those leaderboards. But Michael, a question that I have for you, and then we will sign off. But with Trey Smith being on that franchise tag, do you think there's any concern at all about him potentially sitting out games or sitting out training camp due to the contract situation? Because I'll tell you what, if I'm Trey Smith, while I'm happy to receive $23 million this year, I kind of feel like I've been robbed of my chance to hit free agency and get that big long-term contract from someone else, especially in a free agent class where, like we said earlier, he would have easily been one of, if not the top free agent.
Well, I'll tell you what, Josh, he has never made anywhere close to $23 million. And I think that if it was a different position, like if he was
drafted higher, right?
Yeah. If he was drafted in like the first or second round, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But the fact that he's a lowly 6th round draft pick, I'm not saying that with any disrespect, but there's a reason that he was drafted in the 6th, and he surpassed all those expectations and been a really fine player. But if I'm him, I mean, $23 million, that's about 100 reasons why you should play. And yeah, there's not long-term security, but if I'm him, I mean, this might be the most yearly average he'll ever make. And that, yeah. I mean, it kind of depends on how the guard market goes. And, maybe next year he's still one of the top guards on the market. But, if you're Trey Smith, you're saying, you know what? I know that the contract year is undefeated. If you're a player, they go out there and they just go crazy. And maybe this is my chance to make 25, 26 for 4 or 5 seasons. But if I'm him in the financial position that he's in right now, I'm not walking away from $23 million.
Yeah, he doesn't really strike me as that kind of guy. I think he's very much team first. I mean, by all accounts and all the interviews you see of him, he loves Kansas City. I think he respects this coaching staff too much to sit out. Now, his agent may be saying some things, but I just think Trey Smith, he's not the kind of guy to sit out. And like you said, Michael, he hasn't made that much money. I mean, the fines have gotten very hefty the past couple of years for sitting out. He does not have the money to pay for that. But I just thought it was an interesting question, because if I were him, I would feel a little bit disappointed by the fact, he did not get to hit that open market and get that long-term deal. We know guys are itching for that, but I think that's a good place to stop there, unless you had anything else to add.
Really quickly, I want to give a shout out to Trey Smith, because I forgot to mention we're actually friends on LinkedIn. We're connections. Go connect with Trey Smith on LinkedIn.
There you go. Yeah, maybe you could get him on the channel or something like that sometime this season. Talk to him about that.
He just posted like his job update, like 6 years working for the Chiefs or something crazy like that. Like he treats it like it's a business. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. But no, anyways, guys, definitely want to hear from you in the comments below. Do you think we'll see Trey Smith get extended? Do you think this is his last season in Kansas City? Definitely want to hear from you guys. All that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe some more Chiefs fans can find this. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com. Follow me on Twitter at showmefb. And then, Michael, before we go, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. That's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that I do. And then hit the like button on this video and subscribe to Josh if you haven't already done so. If you're watching, why haven't you?
There you guys have it. And Michael's stuff will all be in the description down below, as always. But that's all we got for this one. We'll see you in the next one. And last but not least, go Chiefs.